One of the most common issues with cable systems like the Dane 1 or the Dane 2 is that they tend to get tangled or twisted like this right after installation. And then you might be wondering how that even happened because I thought I installed it correctly. But there are a few pretty common things that you could have done during the installation process to cause that twisting of the cable. So by the end of this video, hopefully we're able to address those things and take your cable from twisted straight like this. With all cable systems, you're going to find that right out of the box, any cable that comes with the machine is going to be spooled up just like this. And this could be one of the primary causes of the cable being twisted. You're not really letting it settle and you're taking it straight from the spool to the installation. So rather than just leaving it in the spool like this and then going and installing the cable on your machine, you want to let it settle on the ground. Here's what I mean by that. Rather than leaving it spooled up like this, you want to unravel it and straighten it out, no matter the length of the cable. That way, any of those little kinks could be worked out right away. The next two things to look out for are during the installation process, and we're going to take a look at the longer cable first that attaches to the plate stack for both the Dane 1 and the Dane 2. And the reason I want to tackle this one first is because there's a little bit more room for error since it's a much longer cable. So one pretty common pitfall is that when people are routing this cable onto the pulleys through the cross member, they're sort of just letting it hang like that. And when you're not pulling the slack out and you're just letting it hang, it's pretty easy to miss if the cable's twisted or tangled or anything like that. So what you want to do, once you're ready to move on to that next step of routing, you just want to tug on the cable a little bit and just make sure that the cable naturally untwists itself. Once you see that there's no twists in it, then you could route it over the pulley and then do the rest of the installation process. The process is going to be pretty much the same on this shorter cable that attaches to the bottom bracket and runs through two pulleys to attach to the trolley right here. And there's going to be a little less chance of an error. One, because it's a shorter cable, but two, you're also able to clearly see the path of the cable. But again, it's going to be the same process. So once you mount this screw right here, you want to pull the cable taut, make sure that it naturally untwists itself. Then you want to run it through the pulley. Same thing, pull that slack out of the cable, make sure it untwists itself, run it through this next pulley, and then finally attach it to the trolley right here. Now, of course, nothing is perfect, and you might have an instance where you see a little bit of twisting in the cable even after following the previous steps. Well, this is where the bolt is going to come into play. And a lot of people think that this is just for making the cable a little bit tighter, giving it a little bit more slack, but you could actually untwist your cable just using the bolt right here. But there's one key thing to pay attention to. One key thing to look out for is this little ball that's crimped on the end of the cable right here. As you're tightening to make the cable a little bit tighter and to relieve some of that slack, because this little ball is in contact with the bolt, that could cause the cable to gradually twist a little bit as you're twisting the bolt. But there's an easy fix for that. So let's just say, for example, I had my Dane 2 assembled, but I noticed that the cable is twisted like this, and a for sure sign is obviously the pulley is going to be out of alignment. So I undo the bottom bolt to see if that's what the problem was, and it turns out it was. So I just play around with the cables a little bit. I twist either clockwise or counterclockwise. In this case, it's going to be counterclockwise, and boom, the cable is finally set. It's straight, and now I'm ready to rebolt it back down to the bottom. But here's where you need to get a little bit creative. To guarantee that the bottom part of the cable that's been crimped with that little ball right there doesn't come into contact with the bolt, what you want to do is you want to pull all the way, just so you take all that slack out of the cable, and you're going to move the bolt up, and you're going to slot this into the bracket. Then you're going to continue to hold down the cable so you relieve all that slack. And then you start to twist the bolt until it's fully secured to the bracket. What this is doing is making sure that that bottom part is not coming in contact with the bolt, because if it does, then there's a chance that this cable is going to continuously twist, and you're going to run into that same problem of your cables being all twisted and possibly snapping over time. As you can see, after unraveling the cable, twisting it a little bit to make sure that it's just falling straight and this pulley is not twisted or anything, and rebolting it back into the bracket, we're not running into this problem of the cable twisting at all. So just as a quick recap, your cable is going to come spooled like this, but you don't want to leave it like this and then install the cable. What you want to do instead is you want to lay it flat on the ground like this, let it settle, and let it naturally unravel and work out its own kinks. When you're going through the installation process, especially as you're getting this cable over the pulleys and routing it through the cross members, you want to pull the slack out just so, again, it can naturally undo any of its kinks and untwist itself. And when it comes to the bolts, this is just something that I like to do, and I've noticed that it's worked on all the Danes that I've put together. This crimped part at the end, you just want to push that cable through so this crimped part is not in contact with the bolt. That way, as you're twisting the bolt, it's not impacting the cable at all and causing more twists than you originally had. The other big thing to remember is that these are brand new cables, so it's going to take some time for them to break in. So as you use your Dane 1 or Dane 2 more and more frequently, then those twists and kinks should naturally undo themselves. But if you're noticing that you're still experiencing some twisting in your cables, that's where those two bolts come into play, the one that's attached to the bottom bracket as well as the one that's attached to the top plate. You might just have to play around with them a little bit to work out those twists, but it's a pretty easy fix. And worst case scenario, you undo the bottom bolt, pull on the cable a little bit, see where the kinks are, and then twist the cable as needed, put it back into the slot, and you should be good to go. This has been Tim from Fringe Sport, hopefully helping you work out the kinks in your cables on either your Dane 1 or your Dane 2. If you enjoyed this video or you found it helpful, please be sure to leave it a like. It does help the channel out a lot, and it's free. It's no cost to you. If you want to see more videos like this helping you set up your home gym, please be sure to subscribe to the channel, and hopefully we'll see you in that next one.